Okay, so we have Mr. Juwan Lee, founder of Nexchange. So Nexchange is basically an innovation platform which helps the companies, the startups in the artificial intelligence, the healthcare, insurtech, and also the blockchain space. They help companies to scale up. And Mr. Lee is the co-founder and also been for about 5 years and has helped entrepreneurs to build smart cities and also helping the global government and the entire ecosystem to basically adopt technologies faster. So, hi to everyone. This is Snapperbuzz here, and we are really glad to have Mr. Lee today. So, Mr. Lee, what's your journey about, and what does Nexchange do, and how it has been helping entrepreneurs and also the companies to build and adopt great technologies?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. We started, as you mentioned, 5 years ago. The journey has been very long, but what we discovered from the beginning and what we focus on is still very important today, which is we were about building community. 5 years ago, that wasn't really talked about. Originally, we set out as a task to connect the professionals within financial services and fintech. Later, we broadened that scope to a much larger group. We were inspired to connect the finance community to the technology community. The original idea was we created a social network, but what we really discovered, it was really online to offline, which is O2O. And then we started creating events, we started creating content, and then it really started to mold itself into a community. We have pivoted a lot since then. And now we do the full ecosystem. We invest, we market, we create, and we give access for innovative products. So how we've been helping entrepreneurs is that we've basically given them this access to the whole ecosystem. It's not just the investors. It's not just the government. It's not just their peers. It's not just their competitors even. It's really about the whole community. And it's not just in Hong Kong, but also throughout the region of Asia and globally.
That's great.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. So also you mentioned that you also help build communities and connect the entire ecosystem together. And you are also one of the organizers of Hong Kong Blockchain Week, right? So would you like to throw more light on what Hong Kong Blockchain Week is all about, and what will be the key takeaways, and what's going to be so exciting about this?
Well, Hong Kong Blockchain Week, we are the main host for this event. That's going to take place between March 4th and 8th. And it really, we showcasing what's the next generation and what's happening in blockchain. It's no longer about the fundraising, but really about true, real applications that are being used. What is the use cases? How is the government, how is regulation and awareness of this going to be relevant? The investment outlook of what's going to happen in blockchain. And one of the main important areas is financial services, because largely the adoption that's taking place in blockchain is in financial services. But what we really want to do is bring the world together to Hong Kong during this momentous event. And it's a community which we believe of 3,000 delegates. We'll have over 120 speakers, 150 investors from 50 different countries. So when we can spotlight Hong Kong, because what's happened now is that Hong Kong is a major focus because of all the bans that have taken place in China. This is the major outlet. We're very excited.
Yeah, so I have been very much connected with the Hong Kong community altogether in the blockchain side, in the blockchain space. And we have seen, because of the ban, Chinese ban, right, everything is moving towards Hong Kong. And recently, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the government of Hong Kong has also launched kind of a crypto sandbox kind of a regulation, right? So what is all about, and how would it gonna be, benefit the entire ecosystem altogether? And do you see that, everything from China or from Asia and from globally, will start moving towards to Hong Kong when it comes to, crypto exchanges and OTC businesses and, basically adoption of blockchain cryptocurrencies?
Well, I believe that Hong Kong is one of the major beneficiaries, not the only beneficiary. It's definitely been the highlight of the ban that took place in China. So many of the things that are now no longer allowed in China have moved many of their office, at least into Hong Kong temporarily, probably more permanently as I see the evolution. What we see recently is that the government, namely the SFC, has made some comments as to what is really the direction that they want to take digital assets to. And the bottom line is that there will be more regulation, there will be more guidelines, but it will be a transition period. The Sandbox is really about a sandbox for exchanges, and that it will give an opportunity for, I believe, those who are interested in deploying exchanges in Hong Kong, a direct line to the government, the SFC, and one of the more important points. So why would you want to be in a sandbox? Well, you basically have a direct maybe influence or at least communication with the SFC regarding this matter. And I think that's a very important part in the maturation of the cryptocurrency and blockchain space in Hong Kong and in Asia.
Nice. That's awesome. So ultimately, what are your predictions for 2019 when it comes to blockchain and cryptocurrency and overall global scenario? Where do you see the blockchain and the digital assets be in 2019? Are we going to see mass adoptions of blockchain and blockchain becoming more mainstream, or it's just going to be the start of a wave?
Well, let me break up my predictions into maybe a few areas. First, I'd like to start with the actual funding of the platform or a funding community. 2019 will be the year where we see the institutionalization of the digital asset fund industry, where there will be more professionally managed strategies that have the ability to scale and with the proper risk management. We'll have better supporting systems, institutional back-end operations, and custody. Why is that important? When you institutionalize the funding space, there's better decisions and more experienced manager funding the right projects that need to be funded that will be successful and mass adopted. So the funding is very important in the whole ecosystem. Unfortunately, what we'll start to see also is that many of the tokenization platforms that raised, in some cases, significant amount of money in 2017 will probably run out of cash before completing their platform. One is that the price of Ethereum has gone down significantly, but more importantly is that it is quite a arduous task and also very expensive to build out platforms that will be mass adopted. So we'll start to see only a few of these protocols and platforms actually be adopted, but most of them will likely fail. I am very excited about the security token space, not because of the fanfare of what people are talking about today, but really what's happened over the last year or two. Because the security token has come to light and why it might be important, and it would have never happened this way if we did not have a boom and bust of ICOs. Because we could never have captivated the minds of the public that funding through a decentralized way would be a very important part of the ecosystem. Security tokens will be much larger than ICOs, and once we have the right ecosystem that allows us to deliver, list, and the proper regulations that will be in place, I think a lot of this will take place in 2019, and I'm very excited about this.
Okay, great. So basically, they have been, Hong Kong has been the hub for investment banking for about decades, right? So do you think that STOs and the blockchain altogether is kind of a threat to the investment banking, community or the investment banking business altogether?
Well, I mean, in a way, you can just say that security token is a security. Hong Kong is a financial hub. There's more than 150 banks here, many investment firms. It's very easy for the investment community here, which are largely professional investors, to wrap their heads around a security token versus a utility token, which largely have not worked, and most people did not understand how it would work and how to value them. People understand more how to value securities, and I think that's very important for the next generation, but also for Hong Kong, because the community is knowledgeable about the security elements.
Okay, great. So my one of the last questions to you would be related to the pricing of the cryptocurrencies. Do you see that the price of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., moving up if there is any sign of recession or things like that? Because a lot of investors and the community has been talking about the sign of some recession before US elections. So do you think that that would bring back the boom cycle to the cryptocurrency? Do you think that the investors will start moving towards this alternative methods of investing like digital assets and security tokens?
Well, my experience being involved with the security market for many years is that markets generally bottom because the last seller sells, not that there are new buyers in the market. So with cryptocurrency, I think it's very important to state that if you look at previous declines, we're at nearly record levels of declines from peak to trough. So at this point, the downside is fairly limited for Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean that it's an immediate catalyst for it to move up. What I think will be important is that as we move into 2019, there will be certain hallmark dates and times and where there may be some floors that may be put to cryptocurrency, such as the regulation or the decision that's going to be made if ETFs for cryptocurrency can be established. If that is a yes, clearly that is a very important catalyst, and I think that's a very important date that will probably happen in the first quarter of 2019.
Cool. So seems like very excited times ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Kshitij has a question for you. Yes, Kshitij.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Lee. So basically, where you talked about the things changing from ICOs, people are going towards STOs. My question is with respect to the compliance part of it, because as has been reported by most of the magazines and most of the reports, plus even Polymath has come up with this, that ICOs are going to be replaced by STOs. But don't you think that the compliance part of it and the compliance and the whole procedure becomes a little expensive because of different compliance that you have to go through with respect to legality, with respect to for the compliance? What do you think about it? What is your opinion on this?
My opinion is that the same people that did ICOs will not be the same people that do STOs, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
If you set the bar high and that there's a certain level of compliance that's required, that already eliminates potential unscrupulous people. Two, I believe that the bar should be set higher, allowing for credible, more developed companies with real traction to be seeking capital. And I don't believe the numbers of the amount of money raised will be as astronomical for early stage companies as we've seen with ICOs, as we see with STOs. Because in the end, the valuation that took place in the ICO market was somewhat, I guess it's based off of very little analysis, but there is real true analysis that can be based on ROI in the STO market. So valuation will be more true to what the price should be.
So how difficult, what do you think, how difficult it will be for a new startup, for a very new startup which is coming in, and how difficult will it be for someone who has no fundings, but who are just starting to get into the blockchain industry? How difficult will it be for them to raise an STO or do an STO for that matter?
Well, I think the bar should be high, and I think it should be difficult for them. There are intermediary steps, whatever happened to angel round funding, proving yourself, going to a seed round funding, proving yourself. Okay. These are all a natural part of the evolution of every company. And they shouldn't be at the point where they can immediately have something that's trading in an exchange or trading publicly. So this is an important part of the evolution of every company. So it should be a barrier set higher, and companies with no traction, with just an idea and a paper, should not be able to raise capital. This is a good thing.
That's nice. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so my last question. Do you think that the blockchain revolution is the biggest revolution we have seen so far?
Well, that's a good question. You and I are talking right now over the internet because there is an internet. And internet, to me, was in my lifetime the biggest revolution. I think that blockchain is an evolution because blockchain adds to what's already on the internet. So for me, I've seen the internet basically connect people from all around the world that didn't have an idea that there was ways to connect. So when I look at what happened in the internet revolution, which I was very much a part of, and being in the Silicon Valley at the time, that was a much larger bubble that eventually popped. And out of that came amazing companies that are changing the world today. What I believe will happen with the blockchain will be the same. If the 0.1% is able to change the world, I was all for what the bubble created with the ICO.
Wow, very interesting and very full of, it shows your experience and, amazing. Actually, that was a great answer, So thank you so much. And so how would our users can reach out to you, and how could they connect up with you?
Well, I'm available on LinkedIn. Anybody can get a hold of me on LinkedIn. And also I'm available on Telegram at First Nexchanger.
Great. So guys, please do attend the Block Show, buy tickets for the Hong Kong Blockchain Week, and you'll get a chance to meet some amazing people and would also know what's happening. And I think the Hong Kong is the place to be in, and definitely Nexchange is bringing the community all together. So thank you so much, Mr. Lee, for your time. It was great and pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.